Let us chant from verses 6 to 15 of chapter 6. Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaivatmana jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat jitatmanah prashantasya paramatma samahitah शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखेषु तथा मानापमानयोः ज्ञान विज्ञान तृक्तात्मा कूटस्थो विजितेन्द्रियः युक्त इत्युच्यते योगी समलोष्टाश्मकाञ्चनः सुहृन्मित्रायुदासीन मध्यस्तद्देश्यबन्धुषु साधुष्वपि च पापेषु समबुद्धिर्विशिष्यते योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकीयत चित्तात्मा निराशीरपरिग्रहः शुचौ देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरमासनमात्मनः नात्युच्छ्रितं नातिनीचं चैलाजिनकुशोत्तरम् त्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यतचित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविश्यासने युञ्ज्याद् योगमात्मविशुद्धये समं कायशिरो ग्रीवं धारयन्नचलं स्थिरः सम्प्रेक्ष्य नासिकाग्रं स्वं दिशश्चानवलोकयन् प्रशान्तात्मा विगतभीः ब्रह्मचारी व्रते स्थितः मनः संयम्य मच्चित्तः युक्त आसीत मत्परः युञ्जन्नेवं सदात्मानं योगी नियतमानसः शान्तिं निर्वाणपरमां मत्संस्थामधिगच्छति।
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। Chapter 6, verse number 10, we continue.
योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकीयत चित्तात्मा निराशीरपरिग्रहः योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकीयत चित्तात्मा निराशीरपरिग्रहः।
Let the yogi remaining in solitude alone, seated, with mind and body controlled, constantly practice union with the self, free from desire and possession. Let the yogi remaining in solitude, alone, seated, with mind and body controlled, constantly practice union with the self, free from desire and possession. Verses 10 to 18. These two verses from 10 to 18, both the sadhanas are described. What is called Antaranga sadhana and Bahiranga sadhana. The external discipline and the internal discipline. The external and internal disciplines. The external is called Bahiranga sadhana and the internal is called Antaranga sadhana. So in these verses, you find these two sadhanas being elaborated in detail. Antaranga sadhana, Bahiranga sadhana. A gradual preparation is required for meditation. We have seen that already. A gradual preparation is required for meditation. You cannot plunge into meditation. You have to plunge into Sravana, Manana, Karma Yoga. What you should plunge into? You have to plunge into Sravana, Manana, and Karma Yoga. You have to plunge into. You should not plunge into meditation. The subtler practices you should not plunge into. Meaning, if you are not, the assumption is, if you are not well prepared. So here, the assumption is there is a gradual preparation that has already happened, and he is giving two things. One is, it can be used as an indicator to go back, or the yogi, the meditator can use this as a checkpoint. Can use all this as a checkpoint. Okay, am I qualified in this? Am I qualified in this? Am I qualified in this? Now I will sit for meditation. The Antaranga sadhana and Bahiranga sadhana. Antaranga sadhana is that which is not perceivable. Bahiranga sadhana is that which is perceivable. That is the difference between internal and both are sadhanas. Bahiranga sadhana is where some spiritual disciplines are externally seen, manifested. Antaranga sadhana is where you do it within yourself and nobody will have any clue to it or access to it. That is the difference between Antaranga sadhana and Bahiranga sadhana. Like for example, if you go on a pilgrimage tour, you are fasting, you are sitting in a meditative posture, all this is Bahiranga, meaning where it is seen, perceivable. You are doing so many things. One part of you is attuned to Brahman, which is not known to anybody. This is Antaranga sadhana. So the preparatory practices is Antaranga sadhana and Bahiranga sadhana. In Bhajagovindam, he talks about Antaranga sadhana, Bahiranga sadhana. In Atma Bodha, he talks about Antaranga sadhana and Bahiranga sadhana. In Bhagavad, throughout the Shastras, you will find both the sadhanas are prescribed. Meaning, you cannot do one and not do the other. Here, what is it that is being described? As we go along, we will see whether it is Antaranga or Bahiranga. As we go into the verses, we will see it. In this verse, he is talking about a few things. What is it? The yogi prepares through gradual withdrawal from the external disturbances of the world and the internal disturbance of the body, mind, and intellect. The external disturbances is of the world and the environment. Internal disturbances is of the one's own body, mind, and intellect. So you attend to both. So Krishna's advice is you attend to a yogi, make sure that he attends to both. 4 disciplines are mentioned here. The 4 disciplines are Desha, Kala, Asana, and Sharira Sthiti. We'll explain. It's there in the verses. Desha, Kala, Asana, and Sharira Sthiti. Desha is, he says, solitude. Solitude means place. Solitude is a reference to Desha. Solitary is a reference to Desha. Solitude means secluded place. You should understand, secluded place doesn't mean run away from people that you don't like. Huh? Yeah, that is not secluded place. Secluded place means I run away from people that I don't like. Secluded place. No human being, sir, it is a secluded place. Sir. What is secluded place? Spiritually inspiring. It has to be of some inspiration. That is Desha. Let the yogi remaining in solitude. Second is alone. Sorry. Second one is Kala. Time. Time is also very, very important. The suggested time is Brahma Muhurta. The suggested time for the meditator is Brahma Muhurta. The suggested time for Shravana is Brahma Muhurta. The suggested time for Manana is Brahma Muhurta. The suggested time for meditation is also Brahma Muhurta. Here we are talking about what kind of meditation? Where a person actually sit and practices meditation with the closed eyes. It is a very specific reference to the act of the specific act of meditation, not the general awareness that we talk about. In most of the time we talk about the general, in and through whatsoever you do, maintain an awareness. That is generally we speak. Here we are talking about not maintaining a general awareness. Here in these few verses, Krishna is specifically talking about the actual practice of meditation. That is why Desha, Kala, Asana, all that is very relevant. What is Kala? Time. What is the time that is recommended? Early hours of the morning. Why early hours of the morning? Sattvic time. Sattvic time. For Shravana, you need Sattva. More Sattva, Manana. Maximum Sattva, you will be able to meditate. And by default, the Sattvic person will be up in the early hours of the morning. He will be very comfortable with the early hours of the morning. Yeah, Sattvic person. Tamasic person will be extremely uncomfortable with the early hours of the morning. Up to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, it's okay, sir. To 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning also, I can be awake. Yeah. Rakshasas and Pishasas will be awake in that time, not Sattvic. That is the Tamasic time. What do we do? But sir, if we are working across time zones, what do we do? Then this Janma, leave it. We can try it out we will try all this in the next Janma. What else do we do? For the law will not change for you. Please, and you cannot change the law for you. You have to You have to obey. You have to obey the law. You cannot change the law. What is the law? Early morning, sattvic time. Wherever you are, early hours of the morning is the sattvic time. So, what is very important? The sattvic time is very important. The moment you get active, the contemplative mood goes out. When you wake up, you are supposed to sit and contemplate, not wake up at 4:30 in the morning and go for a jog. I go for my swimming at 4:30, sir, in the morning. I'm up, no? Yeah. At 4:30 in the morning, you are supposed to sit and contemplate. But if you can't contemplate, doesn't matter. At least wake up and do Shravana. At least wake up and do Shravana. That time, we have seen that. In Vedanta treatise, we have seen that. The Sattvic time between 4 and 6. The Rajasic time, 6 and 6. Sundown. After 6, it is the Tamasic time. So, spiritual practices would give you the benefit if it is done at the Sattvic time. So, the first one is Desha. Desha means place. Second one is Kala. The third is Asana, the seat. In fact, next verse he will give a detailed description of the seat. Very interesting. One verse he is spending on seat. Yeah, one whole verse is going to spend on the seat. That is the next verse. I'm just preparing the discipline. So Desha, Kala. The third is Asana. Asana means the seat. The fourth is Sharira Sthiti. Sharira Sthiti means posture. Asana means seat. Asana means posture. It has two meanings. Always understand this. So, in the context, we give the meaning. Asana means seat. Asana means posture also. It means both. So in the context, we give the appropriate meaning, whether he is meaning seat or he is meaning posture, because it means both. These are the 4 disciplines. Sharira Sthiti means the body not disturbing. You have done Karma Yoga, Manana, you have crossed to Sannyasa and all that, where the mind is not disturbing. But if you are having a body that is not cooperating, what do you do? Yeah. Therefore, what do you do? You need to practice discipline at the level of the level of the body also. These are the 4 disciplines. With this, we will move into the verse. With this, we will move into the verse. The yogi, the meditator. Liberally, he uses the word yogi and sannyasi. Yeah? Here, when he uses the word yogi, he means a sannyasi. Liberally, he keeps using. For the yogi is not supposed, who is qualified for meditation? We have seen that already very clearly. Who is qualified for meditation? Sannyasi. Now, you can't ask Krishna, why don't you use the specific words and use the same words? Why are you confusing us? Why are you interchangeably using words? Krishna says, I have not come with a prepared text for me to sit and worry about the words. The concept is being discussed. That's all. You should not get stuck to the words. When you miss the concept, you will get stuck to the words. So, first thing that you have to understand, when he says yogi, here he means a sannyasi, highly advanced person, because that person alone should meditate, is what we have seen. Now, what does it mean? First, the process starts with choosing a place of solitude. First, it starts with choosing a place of solitude. Solitude is a place where the environment doesn't give stimuli. That's what it means. As soon as you wake up, the world starts giving stimuli. Solitude means a place where there is not much of a stimuli. Or even if there is stimuli, it doesn't really disturb you. That's why you go to a place where it is more natural, where it is the river, the mountain. Stimuli are there, but those stimuli will not trigger something in you by itself. Yeah. At home you wake up. Yeah. At home you wake up. As soon as you wake up, you see the person sleeping next to you. No. Stimuli started there only. Yeah. And although we say at least separate and yeah, அப்படியே செந்தம் படுத்துக்கணுன்றதெல்லாம் இல்லை இல்லையா. Stimuli it is. You wake up, what is the stimuli that is supposed to come? Yeah. That's why in the yoga, in the initial stages of karma yoga, they say make this practice of sitting up, don't open your eyes immediately, because as soon as you open your eyes, what you will see? You will see the person next to you, Abbada, one more day with this person. So what do? You don't open your eyes, you close your eyes, and you remember your Ishta Devata, you remember your Kula Devata, and then open your eyes. Idallam practice. We laughed at all these practices and we thought all these practices are mere superstitions and useless practice. It's not that. It's very deeply psychological. What is it? The stimuli triggers and disturbs your equanimity. The stimuli triggers and disturbs your equanimity. Therefore, you need to make sure that the stimuli that enters you is also of a reasonably good quality. You need to make sure that. For stimuli has the capacity to trigger. Nowadays, they use the word triggers. Yeah. Nowadays, they use the word triggers. Yeah. One fellow gave me one book to read. Yeah, he said, sir, this is very good book, sir. It will help you in your classes. I said, Bhagavad Gita help panna matendrathu. Somebody written a book, how that is going to help. Yeah. But very interesting book, Triggers. He spoke that whole book he is talking about triggers. What is it? The five senses and how the stimuli enters through the five senses are the triggers. And they think he is saying something very, very new, original. He's not saying anything. There are these five senses and stimuli enters through these five senses, triggers. So what do you do? First thing, that's what we talk about. Before going to solitude, we talk about satsang first. First we say develop satsang. And then sorry, here we will not talk about satsangatve, nissangatve, nirmohatvam. We will not talk here. Why? Because here the discussion is about the meditator. So what is the first thing? A solitude. Solitude means a secluded place. Secluded place means two conditions. One is it is spiritually inspiring. Number two, disturbing stimuli will not come. That is why we say anything vast, anything big is very interesting, because your eyes cannot focus on anything in particular. Less stimuli, less disturbance. You feel very relaxed. That is why we talk about the secluded place as the first thing. The second is ekaki. Ekaki means should learn to be alone for some time. We want to be alone only when we are frustrated, not when we are happy. When we are happy, we want. When we are happy, we want group. Here, it's exactly the opposite. You are happy and you are being, not that you are alone because of anger and frustration. Anger and frustration, irritation, that's not being alone. Ekaki. So you learn to be alone for some time from the beginning. Learn to be alone for some time in the beginning. And then the meditator will be alone for a longer period of time. Second, Yatachittatma withdraws the mind and body from all other activities. The mind and the body is withdrawn from all other activities. Constantly practice union with the self. Every time he keeps giving these two indicators: free from desire and possession. Free from desire and possession. Nirashihi aparigraha. Those are the words. I'm giving the Sanskrit word and I'm explaining it. That's all. Nirashihi aparigraha. Parigraha means associating with possessions. Aparigraha means not associating with possessions. Parigraha means associating with possessions. More the possessions, more the maintenance, no? More the possessions, more the maintenance. More time you have to spend on maintaining it. Yeah. Less the possessions, less the maintenance. It means you have that much more time for contemplation, meditation. It means that. That's why we talk about less. But if you are not spiritually evolved, possessions becoming less will start giving you fear. You will get frightened if possessions are less. 60 pairs of clothes, 70 pairs of clothes gives some, vada. You have to maintain it. You have to make sure that mosquitoes don't go and get build their nest inside. Maintenance. More the possessions, more you have to maintain it. Number one. Number two, more the possessions, more you will want to replace it with other possessions. That is why the practice is reduce your possessions. Reduce your possessions. Indicator. First indicator of evolution is your possessions become minimum. Less and less and less. Nirashihi. One is your attitude with your existing possessions. Another is your attitude with future possessions. That's all. Aparigraha in relation to what you have already. Nirashihi in relation to what you are going to acquire. So acquisition, one is in relation to what you have already acquired. Second is what are you planning to acquire? One you have already acquired. So at this point of time, you already acquired something. Second is what? You are constantly planning to acquire something else also. Maybe get rid of this and acquire something, or இது பாட்டில் இருக்கட்டும் சார் அதுவும் வரட்டும். Let it be like this. Acquire more. What happens in these two things? You have to do actions that are materially rewarding to acquire. Instead of doing yajna karma, if you are interested more and more and more in possessions, what kind of activities you have to do? You won't be able to do yajna karma. You have to do activities that will be materially rewarding so that you can acquire, so that you can go on acquiring more and more and more. And what is the result of this acquisition? What is the result of this acquisition? Acquisition develops possessiveness. You acquire and then you develop possessive, and you become possessive over what you have acquired. It is not just acquiring the problem. If you can acquire and use it and be done with it, there is no problem. You will acquire and you develop possessiveness over that which you have acquired. Therefore, what are the two things they talk about? It is not about acquisition, the acquisition turning into possessiveness. So now you understand. What do you have to understand now? You already have some possessiveness because of your past acquisitions. And what are you continuing to do? You are continuing to acquire more and more and more. And when you continue to acquire more and more and more, what will happen? You will develop more possessiveness. It means you are possessive now and you continue to be possessive in the future. But sir, if I can objectively do, what is your problem? If I can objectively do, what is your problem? If you are objective, you will not be wasting your time on this. Objectively, I am wasting my time, sir. Will you do that? Objectively, I am wasting my time. Objectively, if you have developed objectivity, you will not waste your time in all these things. Why? Because the Shravana and Manana has convinced you already. What is the Shravana and Manana has convinced you already? What is the conviction that you have already developed? Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. That conviction you have already developed. Meditator, you need to see the meditator with that background. He has already developed this conviction, Brahma Satyam and Jagat Mithya. Therefore, a person of understanding will not waste his time trying to acquire. And whatsoever acquisition, whatsoever possessions he has, what he does with that? Whatsoever possessions he has, what he does with that? He will detach himself from that. He will detach himself from that. And how does he detach himself from that? That's where he does dhanam. That's where he gives it away. He gives it away. Virashihi aparigraha is an indication of two things. What? Craving for acquisition, attachment to what you have already had. Attachment to what you have already and craving to acquire more. Now, these two things the meditator checks. Before he sits for meditation, he checks on himself these two things. Is he having these two things? What are the two things? Is there a craving or is there a attachment? Attachment to what you have already, craving to get, craving to acquire more. Meditator checks on these things, and then what he does, remaining in solitude, alone, seated. Seated implies he is not running all over the place. Seated means he is in a place. அது வந்து even the classes, sitting and listening, I'm finding it difficult. Can I walk and listen to the class? Yeah, people don't know. Can I walk and listen? பேசும்போது கூட உட்கார்ந்து பேசுறது is very difficult. Supposing if I ask you, okay, I'm finding it difficult to sit and talk. Can I walk and talk? You will also feel very impressed by that. Why? Because so much of activity is happening. No. Seated means sattva guna. Walking around, all this is rajoguna. So what is seated means? Seated implies sattva guna, meaning what? He can sit in a place, before I sit, I ensure that 4 things are ready. No, I ensure whether my Wi-Fi is on, I ensure my phone is on, newspaper is on, and then I sit in one place. This is not sitting. Sitting implies without any aids, without any gadgets, all by yourself. In the initial stages, they may use the japamala. In the last stages, they will not even use that. The initial stages, the japamala will be used. In the last stages, even the japamala won't be used. Seated, with mind and body controlled, constantly practice union with the self, free from desire and obsession. So he's giving a gradual preparation to move on to the practices of meditation. Verse number 11. Verse number 11.
शुचौ देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरमासनमात्मनः नात्युच्छ्रितं नातिनीचं चैलाजिनकुशोत्तरम् शुचौ देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिरमासनमात्मनः नात्युच्छ्रितं नातिनीचं चैलाजिनकुशोत्तरम्.
Having established in a clean place a firm seat of his own, neither too high nor too low, with cloth, skin, and kusha grass thereon. Now, what is he talking about? Having established in a clean place a firm seat of his own, neither too high nor too low, with cloth, skin, and kusha grass thereon. What is he talking about now? Description of the asana, description of the seat. In the modern day context, use a mat, that's all. A carpet, that's all. It wasn't there, therefore he has to give all this cloth, skin, and kusha grass. One on the other, one on top of the other. one on top of the other. Having established in a clean place, the place has to be, now he's talking about now the continuity of, first he said solitary place, and now that solitary place he says has to be, that solitary place has to be clean. Clean means what? Everything organized in its place is one level of cleanliness. The whole thing being empty is another level of cleanliness. In meditation, what is the cleanliness? Empty. Just you walk in, it has to be empty. Yeah, you walk in 200 things. Yeah. Carpet it's not a carpet. The curtain is AC machine, fan, light. You you see all this clear. You think, oh my God, summer has come. I have to service the AC, and then I have to say om om om. And then I look at the fan, little bit dusty. I have to dust the fan, and then I have to say om om om. And then I see here something has to be done. I see there something has to be done. Yes. Clean place is everything in its place is cleanliness at the stage number one. Everything at its place is cleanliness, one level. Another level being just emptiness. So what is it ideal? You walk into an empty place, meaning no stimuli will come, and make sure that the place is also clean. And then what do? A firm seat of his own. His own. Don't take it literally. I'm explaining it. You take it or you don't take it. It's your thing. Don't ask any clarifications. Yeah. His own means don't share your seat. It has to be, it is like footwear, toothbrush. You will not share. You will not share your toothbrush. No. You will not share your toothpaste. You can share. How can you share the toothbrush? So there are certain things that you need to have for your own. The meditation seat has to be your own. Why? Because your body get acclimatized to it. The body is used to it, the shape, everything. So when you sit in, disturbances are minimum. That's all. That's all it is. Your own. Yeah. You have a, so your, at least the meditation seat has to be your own, not sharing with everybody. Neither too high nor too low. Asanam is essential. That's what he's saying. Why can't he say sit on the ground and do? Disturbances will happen and you can't meditate. That's why a seat. Disturbances will happen and you can't. Okay. Supposing if the floor itself is carpeted floor, yeah, supposing you have a carpeted floor, you don't need to do all this. All that you need to do is what? Vacuum it on the ukanda. Yeah. All that you need to do is vacuum it and come and sit. Do not sit on the floor. You have to use a seat, and that seat has to be your own. It has to be firm. Why firm? Unstable seat will disturb your concentration. That's why. Chair you will feel disturbed. No. Yeah, table is shaking. Yeah, there are these, no. The table is shaking. You feel disturbed. Therefore, firm means not disturbing your concentration. And then he says, consisting of skin, kushagrass, and cloth. It means what? This is how they prepare the seat in those days. First, they will spread the grass. You can't sit on the grass because it's poking and all that. So, and then on top of it, they spread the skin. Some animal skin they spread. They will not kill the animal for the skin. Please understand. And they don't even need to kill an animal for the skin. Why? Because assume that there are 1 lakh human beings. One fellow will meditate. And anyway, there are enough animals dying for him to get one skin. They need not slaughter an animal for the skin. In those days where the proportions of animals are more than the humans, they used all this skin. Skin also is not that. It takes care of the grass part, the skin takes care. The skin also has its own difficulty. So a cloth takes care of that. So one mela one pottu they will sit. First they will spread the grass, the skin, and then the cloth. Do not take it literally. Even today, if anybody is doing all this, they are not understanding the verse artham. You don't need to do all this. You don't need to do all this now. Clear? You don't need to do all this now. And even today, some are so like to use the word foolish, but I'm not using that word. சொல்லிட்டு சொல்லக்கூடாதுன்னு சொன்னேன், சொல்லிட்டு நான் சொல்லலன்னு சொல்லிருக்கேன். Foolish. Deer skin, tiger skin. It has no, in those days that was available, they used. There is no mystical reason for using there is no mystical reason behind all these things. It was available then, they used. Nowadays, we need not worry about. In fact, we should not go near animal skin now. Why? Because we have carpets. Yeah. Nor too high, nor too low. Clear? Why not too high, nor too low? ரொம்ப ஹைட்டா இருந்தா you will break your nose. அதுக்கு தான் not too high. Why you will break your nose? Invariably, in the initial stages of meditation, you will fall off to sleep. You will only fall off to sleep. I don't know whether if you have gone to any meditation classes and you don't meditate, you pretend you are meditating. After a few minutes, you see everybody else. You can hear snoring sometimes. Yeah, you can hear snoring also. Yeah, you can hear the snoring. Meditate. That is meditation. So high turn seat lokanda, what will happen? That all they will fall. Nose will break. Nor too high, nor too. I'm not joking. See, look at the details that he is taking care of. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. Look at the details that he goes into. Nor too low. It has to be firm, not too high, nor too low. Clean spot, a firm seat of his own. Nowadays, if you can understand this and use the right mat, right carpet, it's enough. And there is no about the animal skin and all, doesn't have any. There is no spiritual. It's not that you sit and meditate on deer skin, you will attain Brahman faster. You sit and meditate on tiger skin fastest. அதெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. It doesn't mean any of that. They used it in those days. Yeah. Nowadays, we have enough. Nowadays, we have enough things that we can use. When it is thin, it helps the spine to be erect. When it is really cushiony, it sinks. That's what it means. When it is really cushiony, it doesn't help in firmness. It only disturbs. Therefore, it has to be relatively thin and firm. And people out of affection, they make it so cushiony. Yeah? Sometimes after 10 minutes, the back and all is pain, and you can't even tell them that. Soft it is okay. Yeah. Even the wood is better than the soft cushion. Because at least the spine is correct. For meditation, you need a body that is relaxed, erect. You need the body that is relaxed. With these preparations, the physical disciplines of meditation is set. For 10 and 11, what we have covered in 10 and 11, there's no philosophy in this. Action poilam few verses allam. Venkat, chance கிடைக்கும் போதே நிறைய verses முடிச்சிடலாம் நம்ம. Yeah. Whenever you get a chance, we'll finish as many verses as possible. 10 and 11, what is covered? The place and the seat. What is covered? The place is covered. The seat is covered. Now we will move on to 12. And 12 and 13 are read together. Because of the same thought flow, 12 and 13 are read together. Yes.
तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यतचित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविश्यासने युञ्ज्यात् योगमात्मविशुद्धये समं कायशिरो ग्रीवं धारयन्नचलं स्थिरः सम्प्रेक्ष्य नासिकाग्रं स्वं दिशश्चानवलोकयन्.
There, having made the mind one-pointed, with the functions of the mind and senses controlled, seated on the seat, let him practice yoga for self-purification. Holding body, head and neck erect, still and firm, gazing at the tip of the nose and not looking around. He's continuing the procedural details of. First, he spoke about the place and the seat. Now he's talking about the procedural details. Having made the mind one-pointed, one should practice dhyana meditation. One should practice dhyana yoga. Chapter 6 is entitled Dhyana Yoga. So what is it? Tatra means there. There is a reference to the previous two verses. What is the previous two verses? Clean, solitary, clean, comfortably seated. In a solitary place that is clean, comfortably seated. There, what we have to do, having made the mind one-pointed with the functions of the mind and senses, control, seated on the seat, let him practice yoga for self-purification. The purpose of meditation. What is the purpose of meditation? Freedom from stress, sir. If you have a stress problem, if your blood pressure has shot up, blood pressure has come down, do meditation. Disturbed by the world, do meditation. According to Krishna, you may not agree with Krishna. According to Krishna, the purpose of meditation is self-purification. Let him practice yoga for self-purification. Here the word yoga refers to meditation, dhyana yoga. So let him practice dhyana for self-purification. For meditation is for self-purification, not for therapeutic purposes, not for health issues. It's not for all that. Meditation is for self-purification. Having made the mind one-pointed. What is meditation? First is concentrate, and then single-pointed concentration, and then dissolving it in silence. This is meditation. First is concentration. Second is single-pointed concentration. And then from single-pointed concentration, dissolving it in silence. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi. We have seen that picture. The three roads, karma, bhakti, jnana, yoga. I'm sure all of you knows the picture. The three roads that leads to karma, bhakti, jnana yoga. The three yogas leads you to uparati, uparati to dharana, dharana to dhyana, and dhyana to samadhi. So what is the practice here? First is concentration, and then single-pointed concentration, and then dissolving it in silence. Because we have to use a word, he is using the word dissolving it in silence. What it literally means is simply dissolving it. Dissolving it into what? Adallam theriyadu. Simply dissolve it. That's what it means. So, having made the mind one-pointer with the functions of the mind and the senses controlled. See, every two verses you will be repeating the same thing. Mind and senses controlled. Mind and senses controlled. I am not discussing that because we have already discussed that enough. Mind and senses control has been discussed enough. That's why I'm skipping that and talking only that which is relevant to the context of procedural details for meditation. So mind and senses controlled, having made the mind one-pointed, seated on the seat, let him practice meditation for self-purification. Okay. And then comes the process. What is the process? Holding body, neck and head erect. Body, head and neck erect, still and firm. Gazing at nasikagram, tip of the nose. Elsewhere he is going to say, look between the two eyebrows. Elsewhere is going to say, look between the two eyebrows, as it were. Now he is saying, now what he is saying? Focus on the tip of the nose. Meaning, take a point to focus. That's what it means. Use something to focus. Use something to focus. It can be the flame of the lamp. It can be the flame of the lamp. It can be anything. But anything that you use must keep the body, neck and head erect. When the body, neck and head is erect, it is comfortable. What is the easiest thing to focus on? Tip of the nose. It means the eyes are open. It means the eyes are open. You can't close your eyes and focus here. No, it means what? The eyes are open. In all these, what is it that is essential for meditation? What are all the aids for meditation? From all these, what do we understand? There is something that is necessary. There are something that is aid. The fundamental requirement for practicing meditation is the availability of the mind. The availability of the mind is the fundamental requirement for meditation. For all these things can be done. You can find a solitary place, clean place, asana, body, head, neck and head erect and all that, and mind is not available. What do you do? What is it that brings the mind? What is it that helps you to keep the mind in the practice? That's where from the beginning you practice sense control and mind control. That's where from the beginning you practice sense control and mind control. Sense control we have seen. What is mind control? See, mind control, no, raga dvesha control. What is mind control? Controlling the mind means controlling raga dvesha. If you control raga dvesha, mind comes under control. No, sir. Raga dvesha control has got nothing to do with mind control, sir. You don't know about mind control. Mind is different, likes and dislikes. We want to control the mind. Raga dvesha and all we don't want to control. That is the problem. Able to follow? Or why are you connecting raga dvesha and mind, sir? Raga dvesha is separate, mind is separate. How to control the mind? What is mind? Never mind. I want to control the mind. What is mind? What is mind? Raga dvesha. Full stop. That's what mind is. Mind is raga dvesha. So controlling the mind means controlling raga dvesha. Of the two, Shankar, idella verse la sollala, Konar notes idella. All these are not told in the verse. I am adding all this. He is not saying all this. He is only saying mind and senses and mind controlled. What does mind control means? Raga dvesha control. Of the two, raga and dvesha, more difficult is dvesha. Yeah. Raga kuda control pannilla. Controlling the raga is also already. Dvesha, I tell you, janma after janma it will come. Yeah, dvesha. We are all parambara vairi, sir. They say dvesha continues for generations. Dvesha can continue for generations. Raga kuda you can manage a little bit here and there, but dvesha. So first is dvesha control, and then raga control. When dvesha and raga is controlled, mind is under control. The yogi, who's the yogi? Who has done all these practices? What are the practices? His dvesha is under control. Senses are under control. Combination of sense control and mind control is self-control. Formula body potukonga. Self-control equals sense control plus mind control. Control nale, there is the controller controlling. Control வார்த்தை வந்துட்டாலே two things are implied. Intellect is that which controls. So mind cannot control itself. Yeah. Mind cannot control itself. Therefore, there is the controller and then there is the controlled. What is the controller? Intellect is the controller. What is it the intellect controls? The senses and the mind. Why the senses have to be controlled is because when you are sitting in the seat of meditation and when you are chanting the mantra, the limbs, the throat, the tongue, nothing should move. Om, 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 throat. Again, you are not saying Om, 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 stillness. Mouth is shut, but the tongue is moving inside. Om. Tongue is still moving inside. So, control means where the throat, the limbs, the tongue, nothing moves. That's why it's called Kashta Mauna. Kashta Mauna means the body, the sense, the nothing moves. Why so much of importance on this? Why so much stress on nothing should move? Movement implies activity. Activity implies extroversion. That's why. Again, I repeat. Movement implies activity. Activity means you are moving out of yourself. For all actions is nothing but moving out of yourself. Now, in meditation and self-realization, we are trying to reverse the process of wanting to go from extroversion to introversion. Are you able to follow? That is why so much of importance is given. Gazing at the tip of the nose and not looking around. The Japamala, you can't keep looking around. Clear? Who's coming, who is not coming, what is the time? You can't keep doing all that. Not looking around. The details of meditation is continued. What are the details? Procedural details. What is the procedure? Tip of your gazing at the tip of the nose. You start gazing and you develop migraines, Krishna is not responsible. He is not responsible. I gazed and yeah, eye started paining and the head started paining. A person who has got the senses and the mind under control. A person who senses and mind under control. And then what he should do? Remember the purpose. What is the purpose of meditation? The purpose of meditation is self. The purpose of meditation is self-purification. A restrained mind, a restrained senses is available for meditation. That's what it means. The mind that is restrained is available for meditation. And what is meditation? Directing the mind towards the object of meditation. That's what meditation is. Directing the mind towards the object of meditation. What is meditation? Meditation is the art of maintaining the mind in sharp focus. There in the commentary. Don't worry. If you miss it, don't worry. It's there in the commentary. I'm reading the definition from the commentary. And whenever I give definition, don't worry, you will not miss it because it's there in the book. What is meditation? Meditation is the art of maintaining the mind in sharp focus upon a chosen thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts under the supervision of the intellect. This is meditation. Again, what is meditation? Meditation is the art of maintaining the mind in sharp focus upon a chosen, see carefully, not a field of thought, upon a chosen thought. It's one thought. Upon a chosen thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts. And who is monitoring and watching the meditation? The intellect, under the supervision of the intellect. That's why he gives that example. See, Ananya Chinta is meditation. That's all. To put it in a very simple way, what is Ananya Chinta is meditation. The boy is constantly thinking about the girl is constantly thinking about the boy. Ananya Chinta. Is that meditation? What is the difference? There is no supervision of the intellect. The mind itself likes and it flows. Mind flowing by itself towards the object that it likes is not Ananya Chinta, is not meditation. If Ananya Chinta by itself is meditation, all are meditating already, no? Because everybody's mind is constantly running towards something. Something is constantly running. Oh, so can we all say we are all meditators already, sir? What is the difference? The difference is the intellect is not supervising it. Second is they can't pull the mind out of, that's why it's called entanglement. It is not meditation, it is entanglement. What is it? You can't pull the mind out. Pull pannalum, it will not. More you try to pull it out, more it will go and get attached. இழுக்க இழுக்க இன்னும் ஒட்டிக்கும் போயாது. Yeah, how much you try and pull it out, it will go and stick itself more and more. So what is meditation? First thing, a chosen mantra. Om. Om is the chosen mantra. And meditation is not chanting the Om. Meditation is trying to elongate the silence between the two chants. That is meditation. Om, 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 Om. Sikram muchunu, sir. How much I should chant today? 100. In 2 minutes I will finish that, and that is not meditation. What is meditation? Elongating the silence between the two chants is meditation. Om, silence. How long can you maintain that silence? The silence, abdinna? Yeah, we ask that. What is silence? We don't know what that silence. Only silence we know is deep sleep state of silence. Yeah, adu kuda tablet lam potada. Otherwise, that is also not coming. What is that? Om, silence. After a period of time, the silence gets disturbed. And the silence is getting disturbed. Om. A focus comes to the mind. And then silence. After a while, the silence gets disturbed. Om. Like in the Isavasya Upanishad, at some point of time, you get stuck in You get stuck in that silence, and that is the time Brahman is revealed. That is the time Brahman is revealed, Atman is revealed. That is how the process. That is how the process is. So, what is meditation? Art of maintaining the mind in sharp focus. And then what you need to do, and what the intellect does, reduce the chant gradually and allow it to die away in silence, and hold that silence. Hold that silence. In that silence, the pure self is revealed. Don't bring cause and effect relationship. Meditation, self-realization. Don't bring cause and effect relationship. In that silence, the ever-present Brahman is revealed. In that silence, the ever-present Brahman is revealed. So you can't say cause and effect relationship. Meditation to self-realization. You don't bring a cause and effect relationship. Seriya? With this 12 and 13 verses are over. Clarifications. I have a clarification in me, and then I'll take up the other clarifications. Reference Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, verse 10, 11. There's a clarification. Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, verses 10 and 11. What is 10 and 11 saying? Venkat, if possible, 10 and 11 would a translation mattum podungo, if possible. The screen.
No, it's not there.
He who dedicating his actions to Brahman acts abandoning attachment is not tainted by sin as a lotus leaf by water. So that is verse number 10. The clarification is explain the possibilities of fall of a detached sannyasi. Where is the detached sannyasi falling? Padmapatra ivambasa, like the lotus leaf on water, the sannyasi is. The question is explain the possibilities of fall of detached sannyasi. I'm not able to understand. What are you asking?
You would have said falling off, but generally, sannyasis level also fall is possible.
Okay. Okay. Explain the possibility of the fall of a sannyasi. Can a sannyasi fall? Till you reach the state of self-realization, you have to be careful. You can fall. Higher you evolve, greater is the fall. From 8th floor you can fall, 15th floor you can fall, ground floor also you can fall. So as you grow higher and higher, the possibility of fall is there. You can fall. It means a kind of alertness is required. Right through the spiritual journey, a kind of alertness is required. You cannot take the stance that I I have evolved and relaxed. You can't take that. You can't take that stance. You need to make sure that you are alert till the end. In that sense, a sannyasi can fall. What he will fall for, whatsoever the temptations at that level is, he will fall for that. Are you able to follow? What he will fall for? If you ask me what are all the lists, sir, there is no list like that. Nowhere in the Shastras they have given a list like that. But what it means is, whatsoever the temptations at that level is, he will fall for the temptation at that level. Meaning, as you evolve, at every level there are temptations. At every level there is a temptation. And if you are not careful, you can fall for the temptation at that level. But nevertheless, possibility of fall is there. Like we say, every person has a price, no? Every person has a price. The price differs from person to person, but everybody has a price. Some will fall for 100, some will fall for 1,000, some will fall for 100,000, some will fall for 1,000,000, but nevertheless, there is a price. Therefore, a sannyasi means a person who will fall for 1,000,000 will not fall for 1,000. Are you able to see the difference? A person who will fall for 1,000,000 will not fall for 1,000, but nevertheless, he also has the possibility of falling. At every level, what are the temptations, sir? What is the list? There's no such list available. Nowhere in the Shastras, nowhere in the Gita, Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, they have given those kind of list. So we only talk about the concept. What is the concept? A sannyasi can also fall. Sannyasi can also fall. He may not fall at a lower level, but he will fall at that level. He will fall. Whatever that level is, whatsoever the temptations are. You follow? He may fall for the ego that I am a man of renunciation, where everybody is involved in the world. I am a detached person. He may fall for his spiritual status. He may fall for that, or the sheer higher and higher and higher you go, the number of things that is available at your beck and call is more. He may get tempted and compromise. It's possibilities are infinite. You can't ask for we can't give a list like that. You follow what I'm saying? And what is the impact of yogi's action on vasanas and ego? Next clarification. What is the impact of spiritual, yogi means spiritual practitioner. What is the impact of spiritual practitioner actions on vasanas and ego? What is the impact? Rendum korachinde varum. Both will reduce in intensity. Both will reduce in the intensity of the vasana reduces, the intensity of the ego also reduces. A time comes where it's so flimsy that it just simply dissolves by itself. So what is the impact of yogi's action on vasanas and ego? The intensity of vasanas reduces, the intensity of ego reduces. But then the Shastras gives the indicator. Impact of yogi's action. Frequency, intensity, recovery. These are all the indicators that is given in the Shastras. How do you know that? The frequency of the vasanas, the intensity of the vasanas, the recovery period that it takes. The frequency of the ego, the intensity of the ego, and the recovery period it takes. These are all the impact of yogis' actions on vasanas and ego. In fact, worry about the ego a lot, not the vasanas. Focus on the ego a lot. Don't worry about the vasanas, because vasanas being subtler, it will dissolve by itself. You need not worry about vasanas. Or if you mean vasana loosely as ragadvesha. Most of the time we use interchangeably. Sometimes we use the word vasana to mean ragadvesha. Sometimes we specifically use the word ragadvesha. If you mean vasanas as ragadvesha, correct. Which is what I said even in today's class. I said focus on first thing. Focus on your dvesha. Adveshta sarva bhutanam, the first quality of the bhakta. Focus on your dveshas. Focus on your dveshas first. To be a spiritual practitioner, to be a devotee, to be the practitioner, first thing that you should focus is on your dvesha. Either there is hatred or there is indifference. Attachment, hatred, indifference. These are the three things. Again, I repeat. Attachment, hatred, indifference. The fourth thing called love doesn't exist at all. Oliver Goldsmith says, on earth unknown. He says, on earth unknown. It's not known at all. For what is known, attachment and infatuation is known. Huh? How do you know that it is attachment and infatuation? Dvesha vandirthana attachment and infatuation. For attachment, infatuation will necessarily end up in dvesha. It has to end up in dvesha. So, what is known? Attachment, infatuation. From attachment, infatuation to dvesha. From dvesha to indifference. In that indifferent mode, another round of what? Attachment, infatuation. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Again birth, again death. In one janma, we do the same thing. Janma after janma, we keep doing the same thing. So what is it that we have to be? What is the impact of yogis' actions? These things starts reducing. General, when I say general means, to love a person, you don't need a reason. Why are you loving? Why do you need a reason to love? There's no reason to love. You love, that's all. That's what the impact of yogis' actions. Are you able to follow? So, what reduces attachment? Starting point is attachment and infatuation. When you are attached, when you are infatuated, even gods can't help you. Lord Krishna, Swayam Narayana can stand in front of you and say, you are attached, you are infatuated, be careful. You will turn back and say, you don't know what you are talking. Love, sir. Pure love. Okay, thank God, let it be. We also say, I also pray that let it be pure love. Yeah. Mune Masunda. The pure love turns into. You are right, sir. I made a mistake now. But dvesha has come. Not that you have understood anything. Dvesha has come. As you develop dvesha indifferent towards your current attachment, simultaneously what the mind will do? Simultaneously the mind will look for and create new attachment. Inga dvesham irukumbode, inga dvesham paratin irukumbode, it will go and get attached to something else. Yogis' actions will not be of this. Are you able to follow? As you are battling with one, then ஒரு லோன் அடைக்கிறதுக்கு இன்னொரு வழி. ஒரு லோன் அடைக்கிறதுக்கு என்ன வழி சார்? Take another loan. Where is the problem? Huh? Are you able to follow? As you are infatuated and dvesha and hatred and indifference to one, what is the solution? Get attached to somebody. Where is the problem? Yeah, where is the problem, sir? உங்களுக்கு தான் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்குது. எங்களுக்குலாம் லைஃப்ல பிரச்சனையே இல்லை. ஒரு லோன் வாங்கிட்டோம். What is the solution? Yeah. HDFC பேங்க்ல லோன் வாங்கினா what to do? ICICI பேங்க்ல லோன் வாங்கி அந்த லோன், பட் இந்த லோன் இருக்குதே அது அப்புறம் பார்க்கலாம். Yogis actions are qualitatively different. Are you able to follow? This is what happens in relation to question inga irukku. The impact of yogis actions on vasanas and ego. So equate it to raga dvesha. Of the raga dvesha, pay attention to dvesha. The way that dvesha hurts you, raga doesn't hurt you, because see, out of dvesha you curse. Out of dvesha you wish ill for the other person. Subconsciously you won't know that you are doing that. You won't know. It's not consciously. See, if all this is consciously happening, we don't need shastras. We will know for ourselves. கொட்னா வலிக்கிறதுன்னு சொல்றதுக்கு சாஸ்திரா வேண்டாம், because சும்மா முட்டினாலே you know. But these things are happening so subconsciously, you don't know that it is happening in you. That's why we need. They will follow. So what you need to do, dvesha. Out of dvesha, what do you do? Dvesham vandirthunale saapam varum. You curse. It comes back. One full circle it will go and it will come back to you only. It will not hurt the other. It will not hurt the other. It will go one full circle and comes back to hurt you only. Remember the Birbal's story, Akbar and Birbal's story. One day, Birbal said something very irritating. Akbar gave him one slap. Birbal. Immediately, Birbal slapped the person sitting next to him. What Birbal said and why Akbar slapped, nobody knew. Akbar slapped Birbal and Birbal slapped the person sitting next. And this person thought, oh, maybe Abdidam Pananmon, what he did, he slapped the person next to him. That evening, Akbar went to the queen's place. The queen slapped Akbar. Akbar said, why did you slap me? Queen said, we heard that you started this game today in the court. What is the game? You slap the person next to you. Only condition is you can't slap that person back. Now there is nobody in the room except Akbar and his wife. Now Akbar can't slap the wife back. Are you able to follow? It goes one full circle and comes back. Dvesha. That's why we say take care of the raga dvesha, take care of the dvesha. Clear? Are you able to follow? Two things.
Intensify ego.
Sorry?
Unselfish actions may intensify ego.
Now she is asking, unselfish actions makes the ego stronger. Yes, unselfish actions, technically speaking, unselfish actions done with the right knowledge and understanding cannot intensify the ego. If unselfish actions are done under the proper guidance of Shravana, Manana, it cannot intensify the ego. Where unselfish actions can intensify the ego is you are not directing it for the cause of self-purification. When unselfish actions are not connected to the cause of self-purification, it will develop ego. நீங்க உங்களெல்லாம் கூட நம்ப முடியல சார். உங்களெல்லாம் கூட நான் அன்செல்ஃபிஷ் சார். உங்களை கூட இன்னும் where unselfishness is, unselfish actions is for what purpose? Unselfishness is for the purpose of self purification. See, right through self purification, meditation he is saying is for self purification. Yeah, therefore unselfishness is also for what? Self purification. So when the vision of self purification is lost, you will become egoistic. You will become very, what is egoistic? With all humility, I am saying, I am a very good person, sir. Ego you developed out of unselfishness. I am a very humble person, sir. Nobody can beat me in humility. Quality, sir. But what is my quality? Humility, da, sir, my quality. I am the most humble person is the most arrogant statement you can make. The most arrogant statement that you can make is to say that I am the most humble person. Idalla, where all this comes when self-purification is, when the goal of self-purification is lost. When you lose focus on the goal, what is the goal? Self-purification. Self-purification, there is a dirt now. What is the dirt? What is the dirt? Ajnanam is the dirt. Ignorance is the dirt. Thinking that you are this jiva is the dirt. Thinking that you are this individual is the dirt. What is the dirt? You are this jiva is the dirt. Where you have to say? Where you have to claim your original purity. You have to claim your original status. You have to claim your original purity. Not recognizing your original purity is dirt. What is dirt? Mala, raga, dvesha, okay. But in the real sense, what is dirt? Claiming that you are this jiva is dirt. Claiming that you are this individual suffering, others are causing you suffering, you have to do something to the idallam the ignorance. So ignorance. What is dirt? Ignorance is the dirt. Ignorance is the dirt. So self-purification means purification from ignorance. And what is ignorance? Thinking that you are this jiva is the ignorance. What is knowledge? Recognize your purity. Recognize your intrinsic purity. If you are pure, down the line, all are pure. Everything is pure. In fact, what remains? Only purity remains. So you don't see dirt at all. Ignorance. Are you able to follow? Yeah. With this, we conclude for today. There are some clarifications which you will take up in the next session.